You know them video games? The ones that elicit a different type of emotion from you. The ones that you finish and you just want to tell everyone about it. The ones where you're playing it and you look to the left of you like someone else is there and you're looking to see if they're as shocked as you are. The ones where you truly believe it will stand the test of time, deserve to be put in a museum somewhere and be like, yeah, it's just a regular old disc, but it's here anyway because it deserves to be. Metal Gear Solid is one of those video games. Look, I'm 25 years late, but this game was released before I was even born, so cut me some slack, yeah? You know what's better than an exceptional video game though? An exceptional video game that you did not think you'd enjoy. Here's the thing, when it comes to games, I have the toxic trait of old game equals old. That if an older game wasn't a part of me growing up, I have a really tough time getting into it, aka if it's not Star Wars Masters of Terakazi or Crash Bandicoot on the PS1, I haven't played a PS1 game. Metal Gear Solid has broken that trend, but it's also changed my perception on video games. How, in many ways, we've advanced in the medium in gameplay, in technology, in motion capture and in graphics, but also how we've regressed in others. Writing, puzzles, exploration, what a video game has to say. That's not to say that that's every video game, because that's for sure not the case. But Metal Gear Solid has left a lasting impression on me, and one that I did not expect. Metal Gear Solid isn't just ahead of its time. To me, this is video game heritage. It's a 25-year-old PlayStation 1 game that even as a big idiot modern gamer, I wouldn't want a remake of this, as what already exists is prestige. The word masterpiece is used almost routinely now, but that's what this is. A beautiful blend of performances, writing, gameplay, exploration, music, and a plot that wraps it all up in a lovely package that everyone should experience. Metal Gear Solid is fucking special, man. There's so many places I could start with this. One thing I mentioned was that feeling of regression in video games. It's an interesting take because as the guy who struggles with older games, I often want to play newer stuff, but I want to dive deep into why I feel about Metal Gear Solid in this way in particular. See, when Elden Ring dropped in 2021, it was this thing of, oh, have you found this boss here? Oh, have you found this part of the map? An experience that felt like a breath of fresh air because it really rewarded exploration and just going places. The old fuck around and find out. I feel like now, exploration is tied only to open worlds. That exploration has been pretty formalised. Even Metal Gear Solid itself shifted to an open world sandbox in Metal Gear Solid 5. But talking here, I mean exploration in a different sense. Exploration in trial and error, in defeating bosses, solving puzzles, but also just going back on yourself, going to areas that you couldn't get into before. The stuff here is just nuts. Like how Kojima and the team communicate to you to help you and assist the player. At almost any moment in the game you can just crack the codec out and phone a friend. Like being told that you can contact Meryl's codec as it's on the back of the box, and it being on the back of the bloody CD case in a screenshot. Like how rare is it to find something so simple like that now? Not to mention how the whole gaming ecosystem is switching to digital, so stuff like this won't even be possible soon. But there's more. Psycho Mantis saying that you don't save very often, and then after I finished the game, I was doing some research, and like he reads your PlayStation drive, your PS1 drive, and he'd see what else you'd played. You have the torture scene with Ocelot and Game Over. So much stuff that I'm not going to spoil in the first half of the video for those who haven't played it, but I am going to talk full spoilers in the back half with a clear warning for what I'm going to. But the way the game's puzzles are designed, they make you feel so bloody smart, man. It's the complex part of how much do you want to give the player, and regardless of that, do they feel like they accomplish something when they do actually solve it? I know a video game really has me. When I'm opening up my notes on my phone or writing stuff down, I'm just jotting stuff down. Where do I need to go? Where am I being hinted to go to? Where the objective is. Okay, there was a level 5 door here that I don't have yet. Let me circle back around here later. but it does a wonderful job as well of balancing that risk versus reward. Something that even the other characters in the game will tell you. Sometimes they'll be like, right, I see an item, but you don't always have to get it. Sometimes it isn't worthwhile getting it. I just really love the hints in this game, man. The idea of being stuck gameplay wise and being like, what do I do? And then you call up your team members and they either give you just enough of a hint to figure it out, or outright you're going to ring them because that's going to progress you through the story. It's just the idea of player agency. Not that you actually have a choice in how you take out bosses or solve certain puzzles, but it makes you feel like you do. And that's what's brilliant. And speaking of brilliant, what a well written game, man. I mean, I'm here jotting down quotes because I'm like, that's outrageous. I may use that for a post on my fitness Instagram, you know? Some of the dialogue here cuts so deep. The game has so much that it wants to say, all while never detracting from the plot. In fact, it's always in service of it. David Hayter as Snake is just outstanding here. And you know what? It's even more impressive because there's no emotive face, he's just a pixelated head. But the delivery is so good, combined with the little mannerisms that the character does, is always just enough. For a story that begins as a mission in espionage, a desire to find out what's happening, to then finding out what the Metal Gear is and all the characters you meet and so on and so forth, you come away from it thinking, what is it to be human, to be compassionate, to have love, to find love, and what all of that can mean? The dangers of nuclear warfare, what those at the top are willing to do to keep a hush of sensitive matters, and what they're willing to do to stay on top. There's people that are smarter than me who can dive deeper into all of these meanings, but I also think anyone that sees this one through to the end, no matter how much they read into what the game has to say, they're going to take something out of it. Like I say, quotes I've got wrote down. A strong man doesn't need to read the future, he makes his own. I'm going to hang that shit on my bedroom wall, man. Brilliant writing and just a brilliant story all around. And one thing that I think worried me being that modern gamer was that gameplay, that feeling of the moment to moment stuff. I can't lie, it was pretty hilarious when I started the game and just immediately died as I ran into a guard, and it happened like 3 or 4 times. Because the game doesn't do the usual modern tutorials of X to jump, B to punch. Here's some really curated scenarios that are going to walk you through this very slowly. It's just like, Snake, you got this, mate. At first, I struggled, I can't lie, but as I started to sneak, got my pistol and then my silencer, and I was like, mate, where are all the spy and espionage games now? I realised how lacking we are. The espionage vibes from the off are there. A memorable score, and for what I'm sure at the time was a really cool cutscene sneaking his way into the base. But the gameplay itself, it made me feel slick. A PS1 game gave me a satisfying feeling of feeling like I'm an agent, I'm a soldier, working in the shadows, uncovering what's going on. How the game is just so finely tuned for each encounter, like there's always a perfect number of guards per room, always having the perfect amount of stock of ammunition, conveniently placed ammo types to indicate how you may want to take out a boss. But then when things do go tits up, alright, let's rock and roll, baby. Get the FAMAS out, places to hide, ways to escape, all surrounded by just iconic audio cues and then just that brilliant wanted music. It's just so good. The boss fights too, each a puzzle, figuring out how to stop Psycho Mantis from reading your attacks, the snipe off with Wolf, withstanding the siege from the chopper. I loved working them out, and the feeling of overcoming those fights, particularly the fight at the end against a monumental opponent, it was frustrating, but it was always gratifying. Each offered up a different challenge, and each as rewarding as the last. The boss fights in particular, like, you'd be introduced to this character out of nowhere, like Revolver Ocelot, sick entrance, fun mechanics, and all of a sudden this deep backstory, immediately. Then you got Cyborg Ninja, and especially the shenanigans that go down with Psycho Mantis and Wolf. Stuff that really hit me, man. 1 second, they're just a target to take out, and a cutscene later, you're just emotionally connecting with them. And that's where this game truly shines, it really does. Look, If you haven't played this game, I hope I've now convinced you to, but from here on out, I'm talking full spoilers. So, now is the time to dip if you do plan on playing it. So get out of here because, oh my god, there's roller coasters and there's bloody Hideo Kojima, man. Let me just say, I owe you an apology. I was not familiar with your game. Quite literally. I gotta start with Meryl. I couldn't save her, lads. I tried. That torture minigame, I'm not cut out for it. The dynamic between her and Snake feels so tangible that despite the bombastic situation that they're in, it felt really real and believable. Talking about how love can bloom even on the battlefield, Snake going on his own like personal journey after that, and just grappling with his emotions. It's just fantastic. Every character in this game has a real part to play. No side characters, everyone who is here has a purposeful meaning to being here. I look at the journey of the cyborg ninja that was a pain in the ass to beat the first time, but his long thought, dead friend who doesn't even know who he is. Like, sometimes you see this stuff coming from a mile away, and maybe you did when you first played it, but when I say I was open-mouthed at the reveal, I was. I think it was the conclusion of the fight with Psycho Mantis where I was like, okay, this is one of the most compelling games I've played. How he assesses Snake, how he assesses himself, the comparisons, the differences, and then how he starts to talk about Meryl. All the bosses and villains in this game have the fundamental concept of sympathy for the devil. Not just the villains too though. How Naomi got in the situation she got herself in, how she changed, what she wanted to discover. Liquid's pure jealousy of Solid being the strong and the chosen one. Don't get me wrong, I love a villain that's just a good old, I'm a prick, I want to rule the world. But so many of these characters are just so interesting, not just to learn about, but to hear from. When you down Wolf for the second time and the scene plays out, it's just so emotionally heavy. The notion that Meryl spoke about of love blooming on the battlefield, and then Otacon pours out his love for her as she's dying. It is wonderfully produced, man. Complemented with hard-hitting music, and it just engrosses you in these scenes. I think the twist and the turns towards the end was just mad though. From Naomi being a spy, Liquid being a twin, Snake being infected with a virus to wipe out the Foxhound members on Shadow Moses, Liquid and Snake being close and Big Boss, Master being Liquid all along. I mean, sensational plot twists that never feel forced, never a haha gotcha, just bloody good surprises that had good shock value and they service the plot, which is what matters most. There's no filler, a 10-hour runtime that just doesn't wait a second, paced exceptionally and delivered a satisfying ending with a shocking post-credit sequence. I miss this in a lot of modern games now. I miss having just such a straightforward, to the point, linear experience that offers great replay value in assigning scores and new items to make any kind of new playthroughs worthwhile. Just a terrific, terrific experience. And that's Metal Gear Solid, man. I messaged my dad with an image of me playing it and he immediately replied with the Snake! But that's just what this game is. It's generational. And the best part is I've still got the rest of the franchise to go through. See these ideas expanded upon, see the evolution, see what other mad shit Kojima and his team cooked up. And now I just ask, where do I sign up to become the unbearable fan and get amongst it in this franchise? But even though this is the only one I've completed, I'm like, man, more people should be unsufferable about this game. It's incredible. And it's only the first Metal Gear Solid game that I've beat. And now I'm just so excited to experience the rest. But that's all I have to say. There's only one way and one message that I want to leave you with that Hideo and the team left with me.
Genes exist to pass down our hopes and dreams for the future through our children. Living is a link to the future. That's how all life works. Loving each other, teaching each other. That's how we can change the world. I finally realized it. The true meaning of life. Thank you, Snake.
If you're still here, just know that I appreciate your time and you watching this video until the end. I'd love to hear your Metal Gear Solid memories, your favourite moments from the first game. Do you have a favourite entry in the franchise? Let's chat in the comments. As always, leaving a like on the vid helps me out enormously. I know everyone always says it, but it really is the truth. And hey, if you enjoyed the vid and hearing me talk about this stuff, it's what I do here, talking about the parts of games and the parts of gaming that I really do love and I'm passionate about. So if you want more of that, consider subscribing. I'd love you to stick around. As always, all my socials are linked in the description down below, so you can get me down there if you want to. Other than that, have a terrific day, look after yourself, and I'll catch you in the next one.